So, see, the last last session, we were talking about the universe having a plan, right? What is the plan of the universe? Anybody can answer. What is the plan of the universe?
Perfect, achieving perfect balancing again.
Okay. Instead of using the word perfect balancing, the plan of the universe is progression. I think sharing we can do later. Plan of the universe is progression, not evolution. You all know the difference between evolution and progression, correct? Deepa, you are the only person who is new. Yeah, you got the difference between progression and evolution?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good, very good. So, the plan of the universe is to keep on progressing, no change. That means the state of consciousness will keep on increasing. Look at the beautiful design. We are all part of what they call a triune self, correct? जैसा हमारे कल्चर में हिंदू कल्चर जैसे ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश्वर, right? And this Brahma Vishnu Maheshwar, if I try to translate based on their function, they become generator, operator, destroyer. So there are three functions, which in the concept of the triune self, we can say there are three components: knower, thinker, doer. So thinker as the creator, knower as so Brahma, Vishnu, and the doer is Maheshwar. Suppose we take that approach. Okay. And now we come to try to understand how is this going to be progression. At the start, we are talking about
Sir,
yeah.
If you don't mind, can you repeat that thinker, knower and doer, na? वो Brahma creator and वो कैसे हो रहे हैं?
I said generator, operator, destroyer. Which is nothing but creator, administrator, and right? The execution.
Okay. Creator, ठीक है.
Right. So you have the knower, the thinker, the doer. Knower is the one who is supplying who is all conscious. You have got thinker, who is the creation, who is responsible for creativity. Because without thinking, you cannot think, you cannot progress. And without doing also, you cannot progress. Thought to action. Correct. And now imagine that these three components are, let us say, a peg is hanging from this point. Okay? A peg is hanging. I am going to tie. Huh? See, there is this Yeah, what was I saying?
पेग या पेग जो भी
A peg is
लटकता है,
hanging
हाँ.
from here, right? 1, 2, and 2. There are 4 cows threaded together. Okay, there are 4 legs, or if it is a tripod, there are 3 touch points equidistant, and in the center, the peg is there. I am going to tie the cows with one thread coming out of the center from the peg. The other end, I have got a yoke with 3 components, right? The length will be so created that if all the cows go together, they can eat the grass which is at the 4 corners, right? And if they don't go in the same, they do not go together, then they will not be able to access any bit of the grass, because if the length is so adjusted that if there is a deviation, nobody can. That means 100% balance has to be sustained. Are you able to visualize?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, these 3 cows are your knower, your thinker, your doer.
Okay.
And imagine the progression to be grass 1, grass 2, grass 3, grass 4. The 4 corners, correct? Okay. And when will you say they have progressed? When they go to grass 1, complete that, then they are ready for the grass 2, because if one cow wants to go to grass 1, the other one to grass 2, the third one to grass 3, they cannot. Are you able to visualize?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Correct.
Unity is the, yeah.
No, if they go together, they can.
Yeah.
If
Yes.
they are not going together, they will not be able to reach the end. That means till they come to the conclusion that they have to move together, there will be zero progression. Got it? So that progression. Now, that progression takes you to each state. What is each state? The fire. In fire, you start as raw material, you go become coal, then you become ash, then you become splinters, and then you glow, right? You glow with all brightness. Okay, fire phase में जितना प्रोग्रेशन करना था हो गया. फिर उसके बाद में एयर, उसके बाद में वाटर, उसके बाद में अर्थ, अर्थ के बाद में द स्फीयर ऑफ दीज 4. करेक्ट? स्फीयर ऑफ दीज 4. ये 4 का स्फीयर हो गया अभी. नाउ दे कम टू द वर्ल्ड्स. The world of fire, which is radiance. The world of air, which is life. The world of water, which is form. And the world of earth, which is the crust. That way they progress, and when they have passed through the sub particle stage, the substates, they have all the 4 existences. The 4th existence, which is in the earth sphere, there are 4 substates. In the solid state, there are 4 substates. Radiant solid, airy solid, fluid solid, and solid. Okay. Now, solid is the one that we are able to feel, we are able to see, we are able to touch and all experience. Right? The other three is beyond our comprehension. To the naked eye, not to the evolved eye, to the naked eye. So now what is happening? This is segregated. This what is coming into after maturing the entire processes of going up to the triune self and coming back, getting refined, you have come to, that means people have gone through one stage. एक जगह का घास पूरा खत्म हो गया. You have become breath form because you have now understood क्या करने का है. That breath form has to now progress, that unit has to progress into what he calls one gate, one test. That is the AIE. That is another kind of matured unit. From that state onwards, the doer enters the body, a portion of the doer. Okay? And the progression continues. This is the summary of the overall process that we will now get into the depth of each entity. Right? That is what we will cover today.
So here one part of grass is one lifetime.
One part of grass is not necessarily one lifetime. It is one stage of maturity.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are multiple stages. In one phase you have completed. One cycle of fire, air, water and crust. Then the next round of grass starts.
Okay. Okay. Like that. Yeah.
Right? Then the next round of grass, which is your plains.
Yes.
Then states. Then after 4 rounds, you are now eligible to enter the human world. For entering the human world, you have got breath and form together. Breath and form as a unit matter, you can consider them to be, breath has got one function, form has got another function. Form defines the pattern. Okay. Form defines the pattern, whereas breath gives it the ability to sustain. How? First of all, by giving it life. Then, by through this process, trying to build the body. Having built the body, maintaining and repairing the body, and sustaining the body and being with it. That is what breath does. Form will keep on progressing. Form is the aspect that keeps progressing. It is the one which started as an element. Okay?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The other thing that we need to keep in mind when we are trying to understand this is one of my favorite slides that I keep using so many times. Right? People are able to see this slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some of you are already familiar with this. Some of you are not. Anyone know who is familiar, who wants to take us through this process? Deepa, are you familiar?
Yes, from how this cells will from atom to molecule, and then this we will have cells, no, sir, in the body.
Okay.
So when the cells will club together, it becomes a tissue. Then it forms organs, heart, and other different types of organs. And the entire system, all the organs will together will form a vascular system. And then the whole entire unit is called as a body. So
Right.
from atom to this progression of this is what I can see.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you further break down the word atom. What does it contain? Till you are not able to see it at one level, once you are able to see it, if you break down an atom, what will you find? You might have read it in some of the books.
Yeah.
Is it particle?
You will have particles, you will have fluids, you will have airy substances. So it will make up of the fundamental 4 elements. You will have component of fire residing there, which is light. Okay. Light is in terms of the charge. That charge is propagating inside the atom, sustaining it. So the theory, the theme is the same.
Yeah.
Correct? So the 4 elements, once they come closer, it is like a room filled with dust. Naked eye cannot see it. Okay? But what happens when you subject that room to a vacuum cleaner? What happens to the room when you subject it to a vacuum cleaner? To the naked eye, it looks perfect, very clean. Correct? Right? Then the human being who first tries that out, maybe even if it is a broomstick, अरे यार रूम तो बिल्कुल साफ था, अभी झाड़ू मारा तो देखा इतना डस्ट निकला. Right? So the same way, for you to become a solid, you need lot more matter inside. For you to be dispersed, you need lot more energy inside. Correct? Now, this black element here is the information, the pattern that is guiding the union of the atom to take the shape of a particular molecule. You vary that information, you will be able to change the composition of the molecule. Okay. How will you vary that information? How can you vary that information? We have the knower, we have the thinker, we have the doer. Right? What is knower? The knower has got 2 components, the active and the passive. Just like breath form, you have breath and form, correct? Breath and form, which is the active, which is the passive?
Breath is
Breath is
active.
active and form is passive.
Very logical, correct?
Yes,
Breath is active and form.
form is
Suppose you stop breath, what will happen to form?
it will shrink and die.
It will become deformed,
Deformed, yeah.
correct? Now,
Yes.
thinker. What does the thinking need? Or what does a thinker need fundamentally? He also needs the element of rightness, and reason. So, rightness and reason, which is active, which is passive?
Reason is active, sir.
Reason is
According to
active, and rightness is
passive.
passive. This is the thinker's active passive component. Right? Now, knower. Selfness, I-ness. Which is active, which is passive?
I-ness is active.
Active and selfness. Right? These are the
Passive.
four components. These are the three components which have got its Prakriti and Purusha. The active and the passive.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Now, if these six are in perfect attunement, it is like your three cows feathered together. This is what the universe had to start with. All the bodies that occupied that universe, known as the realm of permanence, had physical, immortal bodies. Okay? Or the other way around, immortal physical bodies.
But sir, how immortal and physical? Physical is bound to decay, no?
No.
With the
See,
past.
that is where you are thinking like the doer. You are not thinking like the balanced thinker, knower, doer.
Yes, sir. Now, yeah.
Right? See, in the universe,
Hmm.
there is one world where everything, there is no death at all.
Okay.
There, it is not the human body. Please understand.
Okay.
The word body, the physical body, is nothing but a coat that is surrounding the thinker, knower, doer.
Okay. Okay. I thought it differently. Yeah.
Correct. So, the body is nothing but the cloak which is holding these three together. And that is immortal. Okay. Now, we said there is the element which we are calling the doer, correct? Now, let us understand the definition of this doer. Doer has got an active and passive component. What are they? They are the knower and sorry, the feeler, the feeling and the desire.
And desires.
Yeah.
Okay. So these two elements are there. They are part and parcel of that immortal, balanced, triune self. Okay? You got me so far, correct? You're all with me?
Yes. Yes.
Now, imagine a situation. There is an imbalance between the feeling and the desire. Right? If everything is in balance, they will continue to exist in the realm of permanence. With me?
So,
Yes, sir.
मतलब वो स्कूल गया है, स्कूल क्लास 8 में पढ़ रहा है, सब कुछ बैलेंस्ड चल रहा है, वो 9वीं के लिए तैयार हो रहा है, इतने में एक सब्जेक्ट में फेल हो गया. Correct? So he will not progress. Like that, right? This progression, interestingly, correct,
Oh.
can only be achieved when all of them are in perfect balance. The three cows example. Now, the moment they have become imbalanced, they are not fit to be in that immortal physical body. Okay. So
Yes.
they have to purify themselves. How can they purify themselves? So immortal may say, I am nikal gaya, because of feeling and desire. He has become mortal. Mortal physical body. How will he purify himself? So that the triune self, the completely balanced entity, can again occupy the body.
By controlling the desire,
Not by controlling, by balancing wherever
by
the
balancing the
imbalance
uh-huh.
started. Correct? That process, he has to go through. He has become unintelligent, right? He has become unintelligent.
Yeah, because of the imbalance, he has become
Correct.
unintelligent.
Right? That unintelligent is he has become nature matter. Instead of intelligent matter, which is part of the triune self, he has now become nature matter. And how does nature matter become polished? Here, consider a coal mine. Where is diamond available?
Coal mine only.
Deep
Coal
down,
mine, right? It is actually coal.
yeah,
Yes.
it's actually coal.
But there is a process of becoming diamond. Correct?
Yes.
That process is similar to the purification process of this nature matter from wherever his level of intelligence fell to. From there, he has to go through this entire rigmarole to become a diamond. When he is equal to the diamond, defect free, imbalance free, color free, form free, all that, he merges with the triune self.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes.
there are multiple stages through which he progresses. Correct?
Yes.
Those stages are known as nature matter. उसका कोयला को लेके घिस के निकालते हैं ना, that process is achieved by these elements. And the worlds and the atmospheres and the planes and the substates. Okay?
Yeah.
That entire process has got certain test points, because this testing is continuous. Even if you have become a member of the triune self and you are occupying the realm of permanence, right? You have got certain functions to deliver. Based on that level of that function, your consciousness level is gauged. The word consciousness is an unchanging, dimensionless word. It is, that's it. So how do you differentiate when you say levels of consciousness? How do you differentiate? How do you think we can differentiate?
From intelligence?
What is the difference between a fellow in kindergarten vis-a-vis first standard, vis-a-vis fourth standard, vis-a-vis eighth standard and 12th standard?
Does it
Gaining
depend on
wisdom.
कितना progressed है, कितना evolved है?
Actually,
Evolved the word नहीं आएगा.
Wisdom.
Thoughts,
अच्छा,
sir.
हाँ, evolved.
Progression.
Thinking.
Progression. हाँ, wait.
So, for a person who is already in class 4, does he have to think 2 into 2 is equal to 4?
No.
No,
Does he have to think 2 plus 2 is equal to 4?
No.
it is kind of ingrained in his mind.
Thank you. That means that much light, conscious, right? That light has entered him. Okay? That means the degree to which they know that conscience, or I'm sorry, not conscience, consciousness is the one that is varying, but consciousness is consistent. Okay? You got it, right? So the degree of variation is the one that talks about your progression. The more light you can see, the clearer you are. Okay. Now we will go into the terms as the book explains. I wanted you people to have that level of thinking. Since you are the second batch, you have the advantage of the mistakes I am making in the first batch. First batch, even I had to read it along with the people. Here I am able to explain, and then we will go into those.
I still remember those days. So it was like so much of struggle.
Correct. Right.
Going on repeating.
Correct. Now, so this is one process. Look at the process of maturity in the universe, right? This is evolution. Because there is a change of characteristics. Okay. This is evolution. Whereas this is also progression. This consciousness that you are seeing, right? That gray matter is the one that is progressing. The field of information is the one that is progressing. That is your form. Okay. So keep that in mind. This diagram is serving multiple purposes.
yes, sir, it's very nice, beautiful concept. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Now, so for this entire game plan, right, there are certain components I have still not added to this, right? So there is, the universe has got a plan. That plan has got nature side, human side. The human goes through 12 different states between life and re-entry into life. It has a soul that has to be purified. For the purification from nature side to intelligent side, there is a transition. That has got multiple stages, and that is how the entire progression of this thinking and destiny happens to be. One more important element. What is this destiny?
It's life purpose, sir.
Okay. In the simplest terms, right? You are all unintelligent matter. We all have to become intelligent matter. Right? There are certain things that are ruling this process. For the plan of the universe to be achieved, there are two critical components: a human body. Okay? Because otherwise it is just nature matter. It is just nature matter, element of fire, element of water and all that. But all these to be purified, the diamond cutter is the human body. So human body is required. The one who is going to get purified is the form, and the one who is going to sustain the human body with various filters across the body is going to be the breath form. Correct? With me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Now consider this. So, for the purification, the form and breath together becomes the doer in the body. All these guys are governed by only one element, that is thought. The law that governs the universe is only one, that is the law of thought.
Law
Of thought.
thought. Okay. Yeah.
Thought.
Yes. Yes.
Soch. Soch.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Hmm.
And this thought is equal to destiny.
Okay.
This thought is so powerful that, for example, let us think of our grandfather days.
Hmm.
Right? My grandfather, this thought is not, everything that we see in terms of those four things that creates a physical manifestation in this universe is a combination of those four elements. Correct?
Yes.
And this thought that is exteriorizing these four in the way that you are thinking, addressed by your senses, which is your, what are your four senses? Sight,
Seeing, hearing.
Hearing, smell, taste.
correct, right? Smell and taste.
Yes.
Some of these are progressions of one element.
Hmm.
For example, he says, smell,
Hmm.
right? Sorry, taste progresses into smell. Think about it. There's a lot of logic in that. Let us say you're making brinjal curry. Correct?
Yes.
First time you will be making it with all involvement. But do you progress to a state where, as the brinjal curry is getting cooked, you will tell, you will say from here, oh, you are making brinjal curry,
Stop smell.
right? Or you will say your brinjal curry is getting burnt, right?
Because of smell.
So there is a progression there also. He brings in that concept also when he is explaining these elements. Okay. So
So
now,
taste
yeah,
is first and then smell, is it? Taste
No,
is
no.
first and then.
correct. That is the part of the progression that it undergoes. There is a merger of elements and all that.
Okay.
Okay. That is the transition. That is the progression.
Okay.
And consciousness is equal to increase in the light, the ability to see. Correct. Now, in his theory, he says that there are only four senses, unlike the misconception of five senses. The fifth one is actually manifestation of feeling and desire. You said touch is a sense, right? That is what we have studied. Correct? Sense is the fifth element, they say, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I remove feeling and desire, both. So now you tell me what is touch? Where is touch?
It doesn't exist.
right? So he says people have misunderstood the meaning and made it 5 elements. There are only 4 elements.
Hmm.
That of fire, that of air, that of water, that of earth. Okay. And
Yes.
all these entities have to be visualized as manifested or unmanifested. This atmosphere, the elements, all these are going to exist in the state of unmanifested and manifested
Manifest.
on the one side, and the other side is unintelligent matter to intelligent matter. What is the unintelligent matter? Unintelligent does not mean stupid.
Hmm.
Unintelligent means its consciousness is to the extent of its function.
Hmm.
Okay. So, a eye by itself, is it an intelligent matter or unintelligent?
Unintelligent.
Correct. Now, when it joins the others, there may be intelligence.
Hmm.
Okay, that is another way of visualizing it. Correct. Based on whatever we are experiencing and all.
Yes.
Correct. So there is that migration and cross-pollination that is happening, and that also leads to progression.
So consciousness is important.
So consciousness is the one that is always there. The light is increasing. So whatever was unmanifested is becoming manifest. That is why if you remember in that thinking and doing group and in this group also, I had posted one article. See, one night I could not sleep. Some thoughts were coming. How do I explain manifested and unmanifested? And it struck me. You have this mobile phone, correct?
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Give it to a child. What is a mobile phone for a child?
Toy.
Huh? It's a toy. Correct?
Toy.
Now, when the mobile phone was first launched, what was it? Think practical. Don't think answers like toy and all that.
It's a research.
It was a phone,
It was a
which you need not have a wire for you to talk in that phone.
Hmm.
Correct? That was the manifested part of this entire structure. Okay. Then people started visualizing, exteriorizing their thoughts, their feelings, their desires. They created applications.
Yes.
Okay. The phone then progressed into, from the unmanifested ability of the phone to work as a protection device, it came in. I could send a message to the police,
Hmm.
or I could send message to my children. So it became the postman. Slowly it evolved. Today, it is a computer by itself. Correct?
Camera.
So
Correct.
the entire feature set that contained inside this, which were hitherto unmanifested, have today become manifested.
Manifested.
And the human being has also, the human mind has created a process of its own in this manifestation. And he has understood, and what has come to his intelligence now? I can keep on adding things to this. I have understood if it can do this, it can do that also. Where is that coming from? The power of the knower and the thinker getting superimposed on the doer is creating that manifestation. So which means the doer in the human body is having the support of the knower and the thinker at all times. With me?
Yes, sir.
But the doer has to go beyond his state of survival for him to recognize those. Correct?
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now let us enter the chapter so that we can go through the maths. Okay. So let us visit the plan of the universe. Okay. So the universe has got a plan and a purpose. Okay. And there is a link between the purpose and a plan which is governed by a law. This law is universe and no one is beyond that law. Which in other words means that this law is the guiding principle for everyone, be it God, be it the administrators of the universe, be it the administrator of our body. Who is the administrator of our body?
Soul.
Okay, now the soul has got two aspects. Okay, one is the aspect which keeps on increasing its consciousness, whereby it progresses, which is the form.
Oh,
Okay, the one that is helping it sustain in the body is the breath. So breath plus form is equal to soul. Okay,
Yes.
the same soul is also the doer in the body. Okay, he is from the triune self, but he is the doer from the triune self, a portion of it which enters the animal's body and makes it a human being. One second, let me just take this call. Manohar. అన్ని చేయించేసి సార్ ఓకే చేయించేమ్మా అన్ని చేయించేసి సో రైట్ సో correct. So the doer in the body is also the soul. Okay. Now this universal law, even God is not an exception, and everyone, including God, is subservient to this law. Nobody is above law. And who is creating this law? It is all of us. I was trying to tell the example of go to our grandfather days, correct?
Yes.
Now, my grandfather envisioned that he should build a house for his children. Correct? So he created space, he created all that. And even the current generation, maybe the third generation, is enjoying the fruits of their thoughts. Okay? So which means the thoughts is creating this exteriorization of the thoughts is what we are seeing all around us. Okay. Now, this thought is the one that is creating everything. Mark my definition of the word everything. it includes your happiness, it includes your sorrow, it includes the impact on the nature. Everything is by virtue of the thought, right? And in simple terms, the law of thought is the destiny. There is no other destiny. And the same thought has been expressed by different names. What are those different names? Some call it Kismat,
Yeah, fate,
fate, nemesis, karma, fortune, foreordination, predestination, providence. इतने सारे नाम हैं इसके. But in fundamental terms, it is nothing but law of thought. Law of thought yesterday, law of thought today, law of thought tomorrow. Law of the people living, law of the people dead, and I mean, not law, thought of the people dead, thought of the people living, and the thought of the people who are yet to come. All these thoughts is what is this law. All these thoughts put together is the one that creates the guiding principles for the government of the universe, for the governors of the universe, for the operators of the universe, and the supreme intelligence also. Right? Thinking is the foundation and the only factor that shapes a human destiny. Okay? If that as, yeah, ask.
So providence is something very incidental, no? Or is it destiny related to thought, providence?
Everything is thought. There is nothing beyond thought. There is nothing. Correct? Now, how does this affect us? It affects the worlds and spheres beyond this law, this thought. It affects human beings. Now, there are see thoughts. Who creates this civilization? Let us try to start there. Who creates civilization? ये civilization ऐसा था क्या?
नहीं था.
नहीं था. तो किसी ने किया है ना, civilization को बनाया है.
Thinking people only.
It is not thinking people, it is only thoughts.
Only thoughts, yes.
Correct? Some thoughts
Yes,
are dominating. Some thoughts are not dominant. Given a circumstance, dominating thoughts and not dominating thoughts. Now, what does the thought effectively do?
Change.
It triggers your feelings, which in turn triggers your desires. So, the first thought is the desire itself. Desire will create a feeling, feeling will create a desire. Then it becomes a vicious cycle. Okay. So, this is how it will progress. And, right, everything existing on the physical plane is an exteriorization of a thought. आप कुछ भी मत सोचो, घर बनाओगे क्या? Will you build a house? Will you create something if you are not thinking?
We are thinking only.
You will not, right? The thoughts must be balanced through the one who has issued the thought. अगर आपने कोई thought निकाला है, correct? You are responsible of resetting that thought or accomplishing that thought. So that responsibility is with you. And it will affect you in line with, in accordance with the responsibility which can be charged to you. Okay, that is how the law will work. Okay, and this
Yes.
law, for it to work in this physical world, there are two entities which are very important. Three entities: a scenario, a time, and a place. Correct? Interestingly, now let us try to bring in what Richard Squads is saying in your birth plan. Your pre-birth plan is a set of scenes. Correct? It is a movie. It has got certain conditions which will help you pick up whatever you wanted to. All those are guided by your thoughts earlier and the thoughts coming forward. Then there is a place and a time when it will take place. Correct? All those are also coming out of the thought. Okay. Now, what is happening? So the next important element is, with regards to this law of thought, is present everywhere and rules everywhere, and is the law to which all human laws are subservient. Correct? Every single law that you can think of is subservient to this law of thought. That is derived from there. There is no deviation from, no exception to this universal law of thought. Now, when it comes to this place, time, and the condition when it has to be, you have an impact, right? There is an adjustment that is done, because you are not responsible for my thought. You see this? It affects beings, human beings, according to the responsibility which can be charged to them. Okay? So, the law of thought is present everywhere and rules everywhere, and is the law to which all other human laws are subservient, no deviation possible. If all these things have to be done, correct? If an outcome is because 10% of Lakshmi, 5% of Deepa, 3% of Anu, 10% of Chandra, 25% of someone else, and so on, is the collective result. What is your responsibility in that? Your responsibility is in proportion to your contribution to that thought. Correct? It adjusts the mutually interdependent thoughts and plans and acts of the billions of men and women who have died, lived, and who will continue to live and die on this earth. So this resetting that thought in tune with the responsibility of the individual concerned is executed in this manner. That is why it again becomes your karma, your fate, your preordination, whichever word you use. Happenings beyond number, some apparently accounted for, some apparently inexplicable, are also marshaled into it. Sometimes, correct? When this distribution is done, some things may look inexplicable, and or they may be out of place. They may be, in terms of numbers, they may be far more than somebody else. All these fit into the limiting framework of time, place, and causation. Facts innumerable, near and far, opposite and contradictory, that is aligned or misaligned, related and unrelated, are worked into the whole harmonious pattern. This defines the form. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
How beautifully he has constructed the form. It is only by the operation of this law that people exist together on the earth. Not only physical acts and their results are thus ordered, the invisible world in which thoughts originate is likewise adjusted. So, even what is happening in the environment is by virtue of this thought. Even what is happening in this pandemic is by virtue of this thought, because there is an adjustment that is happening. Okay. All this adjustment and universal harmony out of this selfish discord is brought about by the action of universal forces operating under the law. Correct? You are seeing it in action. The mechanical part of operation of this law in the physical world may not be apparent. However, you may still see some events, a tsunami, correct? Or something else. So what he is saying, every plant, every stone, every animal, every human, every event has a place in this great machinery. Yeah? I'm going to stop here with this small box, another 5-6 boxes, right? However, insignificant man may seem to play, whatever is the insignificance of his role, right? He is the one who starts this machinery by virtue of his thinking. So it becomes a phenomena, it becomes a factor that guides, and nothing in this universe is possible without this law taking place. The intelligence and complete triune selves who direct the operation cannot be seen by the human. Correct? They are the ones who are occupying the realms of permanence. That means they are the people who have gone through this grind and reached that stage, right? There are so many theories because of the limited understanding of this law of thought that religions have been born. Some theories are furnished by various systems of religions, which we shall see tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow we will see the role of religion. We will see the destination about what they mean by with respect to these finding a place. Is it clear? Whatever
Yes.
spoken till now?
Yes.
You people are so lucky. Any questions?
No, but then the way it is discussed is different from what we used to think.
Correct. Right. One sec. I will stop the recording.